Greetings world. We are anonymous. McDonald's is not a firm known for exhibiting a duty of care to its staff, its patrons, or the communities in which it operates. But the latest scandal to hit the fast food giant really does take the biscuit, robbing staff of their wages while they work. McDonald's already pays its workers the lowest wage permitted by law, forcing full-time staff to rely on government programs to pay their rent, feed their families, and obtain healthcare. And now we find that even this pittance of a wage is being watered down by managers at the behest of the corporation.
I think the worst thing that I was ever asked to do would be to really adjust a person's time. That is the worst, because they did the work. You know, they were there, and they deserve to get paid for what they did. It's a job. It's not right. It's not fair.
My GM was sitting at the office desk and notified me and 4 other managers that there was a crew member that went over 40 hours, that she was going to take the rest of those hours and put it on the following pay period.
I had a manager that actually sat with me when I was closing, and when it was time to shut down the system, the exact words were, "Oh, we gotta adjust labor," not giving an employee a break. That is pretty much the norm. If you get a break, you're pretty much lucky. See, what you would do is at the end of the shift, as a manager, when you go in, you constantly have to go into the computer. You're gonna put that break in there if that time is not balancing out. I've, on several occasions, had employees come and work either before their shift or either stay after their shift. I've had employees literally clock out to work because they were either going into overtime or labor was getting extremely high, and we had to balance it. I have witnessed deductions being done with employees, whether it was uniform, whether it was a name tag, whether it was a meal, whether it was anything. They would deduct and they would take it out of your payroll.
They were on the clock, and if they got sent home, that was money, you know, being taken out of their pay. They weren't the teenagers. They were the 30 to 40 something mothers working multiple jobs at the time to where they couldn't get a full-time work status. Knowing that McDonald's is a multi-billion-dollar empire and they can't pay their workers, it hurts me as now being a mother and seeing other mothers and they can't afford to pay their bills. I feel that McDonald's are stealing from their workers. The company or corporation as a whole is greedy.
Workers across America are now suing McDonald's for wage theft. These suits have been filed to stop this widespread wage theft, said Joseph Sellers, one of the attorneys for the workers, in a conference call. They highlight a broad array of unlawful pay practices, which together reflect ways in which McDonald's has withheld pay from its low-paid workers in order to enrich the corporation and its shareholders. As John Swain writes for The Guardian, the lawsuits allege that thousands of McDonald's workers have their pay pushed below the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour through a variety of practices. Some are not paid for all the time they work, some have wages docked in order to pay for their uniforms, and some are made to wait for hours until busy periods before they are allowed to clock in, the complaints allege. But this is just the latest occasion that some of the nation's poorest working people have been forced to the courts to uphold the most basic principles of employment. McDonald's was recently forced to pay out a 6-figure settlement to 291 employees who were threatened with deportation if they refused to work 25-hour shifts in a form of franchise. The workers were kept in their boss's basement between shifts and had rent docked from their wages for their own imprisonment. While screwing the wages of its minimum wage workers below the poverty line, McDonald's made a $5.5 billion profit last year and paid its CEO, Don Thompson, $13.7 million. The corporation's flagrant disregard for the millions of people slaving away each day to create its profits is truly staggering. But million more people continue to hand over their cash to such an unethical company for food barely worthy of the description that is even worse. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.